Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you guys for stopping in on a short notice for a meeting. My name's Bill Wolf. I've got Rob Sewell here with me. He will be doing the presentation today on deploying modules with PowerShell continuous. He can do the title better than I can. Definitely, definitely better justice. But before we hand it over to Rob, which I still say I have a better beard than, but we'll leave that for another day.
We'll leave that for another day.
Yeah. So we'll start off, folks, with the past community news. So first of all, we do have Summit coming up soon. And Summit is the first week of November this year. And if you're going to register, since you're a member of the DevOps virtual group, if you use the code here on your screen, I'll leave it here for just a moment. You can take a screenshot or whatever, get that code, or you can email devops@pass.org, and I'll get that code out to you as well. You'll save $150. It's going to add up, I believe, in mid-July. That price hikes up another roughly $500. So if you plan on going, register as soon as you can. Excuse me. So you want to make sure attending. It did that. Sorry. Make sure that you guys attend Past Summit to grow your career. So first of all, Rob, can you see the screen? You can see my PowerPoint? I want to make sure.
Let me just have a look. Yes, I can. Yes, buddy.
Okay, thanks. So, guys, make sure you can get to Summit. It is November 6th through 9th. It is a career changer. If you haven't gone, go. You get to meet people like Rob here, and it's a fabulous time, and it will absolutely change your career. But not everything has to be in person. So, today it was an hour ago, so this already happened. Oh well, Facebook Live here was with Miko Yuk, but this already happened, so we'll go past that. There are past careers. If you're looking for a new career, looking for a new job, you can go to pass.org/careers. We are always looking for new sponsors. If your company can sponsor events or even virtual user groups, such as our user group is sponsored by Redgate. That's how you guys will get the $100 gift card to whomever wins today. So you can contact me and I can get you in touch with the right person. Here's some upcoming virtual group webinars, which in this slide, the only one that is relevant is the last one with Jess Borland. So she is absolutely wonderful. And here's some more here, whether it's WITS or fundamentals or architecture. We've got a lot of good seminars coming up, really good seminars, actually. So, okay. And if you don't know it already, there are many, many virtual user groups. So if you can't make it to SQL Saturdays, if you can't make it to Summit, get to user groups like this one. And if you can make it to SQL Saturdays, please do so. I know that this weekend, if you are in the Florida area, you can see me in Pensacola. And Rob, are you going to be at anytime soon?
I am going to be in Cork on June the 9th.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
And I'll give a shout out to SQL Grillen in Germany because it's sold out. But if anybody's ever in Germany in June, SQL Grillen is a fantastic conference to go to as well.
Absolutely. I've heard lots of great things about it, and I'm thinking next year I just might have to take a shot myself. So, all right. Again, you're already a part of a member. You're already a member of the PASS organization. It's so many benefits, and one of the big ones is if you'd like to speak, contact somebody. Speaking is a wonderful way to grow yourself and grow your career. Connect with pass.org, and that's what we would need to do. So without further ado, so you don't have to hear me anymore, I am going to pass this off to I'm going to make Beard the organizer now, or the presenter. There we go. So I'm going to mute myself, and it's all you, Mr. Rob.
Okay, so can you just tell me that you can see my screen, and then everything would be wonderful?
Yepper, we can see your screen. I can.
That's all. That's a good start. So, hi folks. Thank you for joining me in the evening in Europe and in the middle of the day over at the pond. At sort of fairly short notice. Hopefully, you're here to learn about continuous delivery for modules to the PowerShell gallery. Let's see if we can make this work. Oh, just like that. There we go. So, who am I, and why am I sitting in a hotel room in northeast of UK talking to you about DevOps in a way? My name's Rob, although as you'll notice if you know Chrissy Lemaire, she calls me Beard pretty much constantly. And last year at PASS Summit, it was very interesting walking around having everybody just shouting Beard at me, because there are lots of people with beards, and some have pretty good beards like Bill. Not quite as good as mine, according to Cognitive Services, but that's another story. What do? I was once upon a time a production DBA, which, looking after many hundreds of instances, got me into automation, and automation led me to PowerShell. And really these days I do automation with PowerShell. I enable people to automate away the mundane, automate themselves some bandwidth, to steal Jeffrey Snover's phrase. Stop wasting time on doing manual things and enabling more free time by automating things as much as possible. And I do some DevOps, database lifecycle management work for customers as well, and I do training. And if you want to see more about that, then you can go to that website. Interesting fact, got a beard. I still play cricket even though the beard is grey, and I love to fly my drone, because my wife tells me that sitting looking in front of a screen all day long and all night long is not so good for my eyes and my belly and all the rest of it. I'm a speaker. I'm lucky enough to be part of two fabulous communities, both the PowerShell community and the SQL community. So I managed to cross both those bridges, and I speak at the European PowerShell conference, the Asia PowerShell conference, PS Saturdays and Mondays, and PowerShell user groups, as well as all the SQL user groups. I helped to run SQL Southwest. I helped organize SQL Saturday Exeter. I've spoken at SQL Bits and also last year at PASS Summit. I'm very keen on the community. I believe the community is a fabulous resource for everybody that is involved in IT, but in PowerShell and SQL particularly. I definitely would not be where I am today without the SQL and PowerShell community. Last year, I was lucky enough to be recognized as an MVP by Microsoft, because I just keep talking and people kept saying that I should be. So I'm really proud of that. So it was a really big achievement. And a complete lack of clicky. Let's do that instead. So we were just talking about PASS Summit. And this year I've been selected to present a pre-con on the Tuesday. So if you would like to come and spend all day learning how to write PowerShell in a more professional and proficient way, then please go to that link and sign up. And obviously you've got a voucher code from being a member of PASS and coming to this virtual group. So before the price goes up, it's a very good time to do so. So let's get into it. Today's to-do list was get up, drink appropriate liquid. Now, for me, that is always caffeine. For other people, and I was amazed when I heard this, but apparently there are people in this world that survive on more than just caffeine. In fact, one of the clients that I go to is based in a place in the UK called Yorkshire, and it is the only place I've ever been where the IT department's kitchen, which has a coffee, some coffee and some tea, where the tea goes down quicker than the coffee does. It's amazing. But after I've drunk that, we're going to create continuous delivery process for delivering modules to the PowerShell gallery. Easier to do than to say, I think. So we're going to need some things to do this. So to do this, first we're going to need Plaster. We can use PowerShell. We'll just install module Plaster. This is the way that you get every module that you require these days. PowerShell is shrinking in size in its core delivery. So once we get to use PowerShell 6, which is cross-platform, you'll find it's a very small footprint. And the expectation is that you go to the gallery and you get down the modules that you require. Because the modules that you require will be different from the ones that I require. They'll be different for the ones that Exchange admin or an Azure admin or somebody who looks after VMware. They're going to require different modules. So the core installation of PowerShell will be the same, but we can have all of these different modules enabling us to do stuff. For this one, we're going to use Plaster. Pester. Now, we love Pester. Pester is awesome. It's the first open source project to make its way into the Windows operating system, which is absolutely fantastic and also a complete and utter pain. It's a pain because I've just told you that you need to go to the gallery and install it. I've put it up on the screen, install module Pester. And if you go and run that on a default installation, you're going to find it's going to fail with a certificate failure because it came with the operating system. It was signed with the Windows certificate, and Microsoft obviously don't want to give that certificate out into the open source community. So it's made it very difficult for you to be able to upgrade Pester to the latest version, which has much more features. So what you need to do is you need to go to CE Program Files, Windows PowerShell modules, Pester. You'll need to take ownership of that folder because it will be owned by Trusted Installer and all of the subfolders and files, and then delete it. And once you've done that, then you can just run install module Pester. You need a GitHub account because we should be keeping things in source control. And we're talking about a PowerShell module. This is going to be code. We definitely want to keep it in source control. We want to be able to see what changes we've made. We want to be able to maybe revert back to some changes. We might want to go into branching and doing all of this sort of funky stuff. But most importantly, we want to keep our code safe. And a VSTS account. I'm going to show doing this in VSTS. It is possible to do it with the other CI and CD programs that you can get, but we're going to use VSTS. Now, obviously, 45 minutes, all of this stuff is not going to be deep into detail, but hopefully it is enough to give you the idea, give you some understanding. And then once you've done that, give me a shout. So, hey, how do I do this, Beard? Or where can I learn more about that? You'll be able to follow yourself through. So Visual Studio Team Services, you get to it by visualstudio.com/team-service. Or just click the link off the visualstudio.com website. And it's free, gratis, nothing. For small teams, up to 5 users, you can get started. So if you're building a module of some sort and you only have a small team, then this is perfect. If you're building an open source module, then again, you're probably not going to need more than 5 users to be in control of your CI/CD process. So you can easily make use of this without hitting your budget at all. VSTS enables you to control your entire workflow. It's a massive, massive piece of software. There are all sorts of different things that you can do with it. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to unit test with our build step whenever we merge to our development branch. So we're going to test that our code is doing what we expect it to do whenever we merge into development. And then we're going to update our module number. And we have to update the module number for our PowerShell module because otherwise the PowerShell gallery will say, hang on a minute, I've already got that module version. I need a larger one. So every time that you needed to publish to the gallery, you had to do that by hand. We'll stop doing things by hand. If you're doing anything more than once, just automate it. We're talking here about DBHX, which is one of the open source modules that I contribute to. And we were lucky enough to get from DigiCert a certificate that enabled us to sign our code. So we can sign our code, and it enables everybody out there to know that this is the code that was placed up onto the internet. And Again, this used to be a manual task. So every time we had to release a new version of DBHX or DBA tools, there was a manual process to have to go and grab the certificate and put the password in and then sign all the files and then enable it to be published to the gallery. So hang on a minute, Rob, let's just step back a bit. Why are we talking about modules? If we're writing PowerShell scripts to do things, I can write PowerShell scripts. I can write PowerShell scripts and just F5 them or F8 them until they don't go red anymore, and that's fine. And that's how we all started. I hold my hands up. That's absolutely how I started. I still have blog posts that people read about how you should store your scripts in a folder and a share so that everybody can access them. And absolutely, that was the way we always used to do these things. But these days, we can use modules to avoid that confusion of having PS1 scripts everywhere. We can use the commands from those modules in other scripts, maybe in sort of controller scripts. We'll come and call various commands from different modules. It's much, much easier to share a module, especially with the PowerShell gallery, or if you want to do this internally, it is extraordinarily simple to set up your own internal PowerShell repository and still use everything else that we talk about here. Instead of publishing to the PowerShell gallery on the internet, you can publish to one internally that can only be accessed by certain people within your organization. And modularity, that's what modules are all about, just writing modular bits of code that can plug into other bits, a bit like Lego. And it also enables us to only push out the functions and the functionality that we want our users to have, and don't have them worrying about all the clever stuff that we do behind the scenes under the hood. But we can keep some of those clever functions away from our end users if we want to. So this is Sad Joey. Sad Joey became a meme at the PowerShell conference in Europe. Joey is program manager of the PowerShell team, and he wants you to share your module on the PowerShell gallery, because if you write something cool, you write something that's going to be useful to other people, then share it on the gallery. Enable other people to make use of it. I frequently write code that I share via the gallery that I use in my work. And in the work that I'm doing for clients, I might have some confidential information, so I'll keep that away from being shared. But I take all of that out and push everything that can be shared up to the gallery, and I highly recommend that you do so too. So plaster for the UK folk is not the little thing you put on a little owie on your finger with a smiley face saying you were very brave, nor is it something that you put around your leg when you break it. It is a way of templating your modules. It enables you to consistently build up a module structure very, very quickly, as we will see. So you can reuse this same structure. Again, there's going to be a lot of things you're doing when you're building a module that you do more than once. And with all of these things, we shouldn't just do them by hand manually. We should automate it as much as we possibly can. Oh, let's go that way instead. So Pester is very important. Pester is important because we need to verify that our code is working correctly. We need to verify that what we're writing is is going to do what we expect it to do. It enables us to provide guidance to other people as to how we expect our code to be written. It enables you to document your code's behavior. So we don't need to write lots of documentation, because you can see in the Pester test, if I expect X to happen when I pass in parameter Y, then that is what my code is supposed to be doing. We can use simply things like script analyzer and testing of our help to make sure that we have got our code written following, in inverted commas, best practices, and that we have help, because you do not want to be the support for your code. You should always have your help enable that for your end users. And with all things, stop doing things manually, just automate them. So I reckon that's probably enough time of looking at slides, and it would probably be good to go to a demo. So let's try this page. So as well as, can I just make sure that that is big enough, people can read it, as well as, you can find everything there. So you can find all code that I share, all my slides that I do in my presentations, you can find at github.com/SQLDBA with a beard, and then there's a presentations repository. Feel free to go and use it and make use of it and pass it on. And the only thing that I ask is if you build something cool, just let me know so I can see what you've done, because I think that's really cool. But one of the other things we can do with Pester is we can validate things. So I like to say that if you can get something with PowerShell, then you can test it with Pester. And before I do a presentation, I like to make sure that I validate my environment. So I make sure my network settings are set up correctly. What else have we got there? Oh, we've got, yeah, we should have the correct PowerPoint presentation open. It decided the titles were different. We don't want mail or tweeting or Slack. We should be at the right prompt. I should be running as the right user. I need my agent service running. Plaster template folder shouldn't exist. Oh, and this is one reason for doing it. So a part of this demo relied on this particular web page. And actually, if we go and look at that web page, we'll see that it no longer exists, which is a bit of a blow, but actually it will still be okay with this presentation. It's okay. But at least I knew about that an hour and a half ago. Typically at the weekend, the page did exist and everything was fine, but an hour and a half ago, I realized that this wasn't there. So I was aware of that because I'd validated my environment. So we want to start with Plaster. So we have nothing at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a Plaster template. Here is my Plaster template, which you can find on GitHub, and I've helpfully called it Plaster template. And what it holds is a folder structure. So a docs, a functions, an internal. There's nothing inside those two. Oh, there's the release notes. An internal, there's nothing. We've got a YAML file, a contributing markdown. And here it says, this is the contribute MD of our, oh. So it's got these funky little things here. These are Plaster parameters. These enable us to automate the creation even of our contributing file. So we can see that it says, with some fluff, the Plaster parameter module name. And all of this magic happens within this XML file. So in this XML file, it comes up, you can put in a default author and a description, a title, and you have a parameters block. So we can add in a prompt to say, I need the full name, I need the module name, I need the module description. So we can also, as you can see here, we can set a default value, and the default value can be a previous parameter. We can write some output to the screen. So with the message, we create, say we're creating our folder structure. And here we say, create me these folders. This is how we do it. The file source on one side and a destination on the other. And then we can deploy our common files. So take my appvea YAML file and place it at the root of my folder. Here I'm saying I have a file with some parameters in it. This is my install one, or my project tests, my help tests files. Place those in the same place, but these have got parameters. So look in the parameters before you push them over. And create me my PSM1 file. And then my module manifest. And this one has its own special little code block. new module manifest, and it enables us to put in all of these things that we need for our PowerShell module. Go away. So then we can create our module. So we're going to create a beard analysis one. It's going to be a demo module for demoing plaster. And then we're going to splat out our parameters. So we'll pick our template path as the folder where we've got our plaster template. And then instead of answering the prompts for those parameters, I'm going to specify them here. So the destination path, the full name, module description. If my destination path doesn't exist, I'm going to create it. So let's run that. So as you can see, as it goes through, gives us some pretty ASCII art at the top, and it creates us the folders and the common files, all of our help tests, our module manifest, and our PST1, all nicely created for us, simply and quickly as that. And if you need to alter anything in your templates, then you can quite easily go and do that, create yourself your module however you want. So let's have a look at, why have you not gone to the right place? Interesting. Ah, I've done my favorite trick. I don't think I loaded all of my variables. So let me just run that through again. I'm going to have some clearing up to do. That's better. When you don't set your variables, you can make a mistake. So we don't need that one. So whilst that's just going through, there we go. So I've created my beard analysis module template. You can see it's renamed my PST1 file. It's given it the right name. We had a version number in there that we could set. All of this is through. And also, here are our tests. So as I said, don't rewrite all the things you need to do. Here's our module name. It's already defined here. If we look at our help tests, we give thanks to June Blender whenever we show this page, because June helped write this and means that nobody has to think about how to test their help anymore. You can see we're going to check all of our help is available. And we can check with our script analyzer that we're following the general rules. So as simply and quickly as that, we can create ourselves our function. Now, Jeff Hicks created this really excellent, I think it is just a script and not a command, which enables us to create ourselves a new repository. So just to show that there is nothing up my sleeve, got no results for repositories matching beard, and what I can do is run this, and something went wrong. Excellent, thank you so much. I could not create an SLS. What that would do, if I was connected not on a hotel Wi-Fi, is just create you a new GitHub repository and push all of our code up to there. So what we were going to do was talk about writing ourselves some code for analyzing the beards on the page that no longer exists. But we can't do that anymore because we don't have that page that no longer exists. So how are you going to make sure that you do that, Rob? It's very easy. If I come through and keep going down here, Oh man. There we go. Where are we? Where are you? Your PowerShell session has failed you. Okay, so we have no PowerShell session, so we will reload. So what we can do is we can make use of this faces JSON object. And this basically will pretend to be the results of our call to the web page. So what I am going to do is just find my JSON. That's what I want. We're kind of jumping ahead here, but it's going to make sense. I can't test this command because I can't get to the correct page on the internet. So what I can do is copy this code here. If I call it JSON, if I go to the right folder, there we go. Then what I get is some JSON. And this JSON is what we talked about the last time I was at this virtual group. This is how we get our information and mock our commands. And why is that important? Because we should only be mocking we should only be testing the code that we're writing. So this is the important bit. Let me get myself back up here. Gee whiz. Watch how we do that. And let's set that variable as well. Boof, 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 boof. Right. Let's move our function over. There we go. So, speaker faces equals JSON. So we can look at one of these results, and this result is all about Yapbrasser. So this is one speaker's results from this command that we're going to make use of in this command that we're writing. So if we were to run our command, it says, oh, error occurred in our test script. The term functions is not recognized as a command letter. So something's gone wrong here. Because somebody hasn't copied the file over. So let's run that past the test again. Oh, no, why? Something's going on. Ah, of course. We haven't written our code to pass our test. Sigh. Da, da, da. What did you do wrong there? Ah. There we go. Thank you. So now when we run our command, there we go. It says, when there is no speaker in the array, it should return a useful message. And I did that by writing my test first. So here's my test. My tester test starts with a describe block. Then we have an it, which has a name. And then we have an action and a value. And then should, assert, and the expected result. So in this scenario, get the command name should be the command name that we're expecting. And you'll notice that here we put error action silently continue. And we do that to make sure that our pester test results are not splurged with a load of red of errors from our PowerShell. They literally are just the results of our test. And then we say, when I run get speaker beard speaker Chrissy Lemaire, the answer that I expect is no speaker with a name like that. You entered Chrissy Lemaire. And as we saw, that failed. So let's run our test. What have we got wrong there? There we go. I wonder if that's what we've done. Let's pick a beard, write our code, invoke our pester. So here are a whole load of script analyzer rules. If we look in our pester test, we can see that we've defined our functions. We've got a whole load of checking of our parameters. We use our assert mock to make sure that any mocked commands we've written pass. And then we check our execution and make sure everything's working as possible, as it properly should. And what I'm going to do now is abandon this particular demo like that and actually go to something like this. So let's stop looking at a demo. Let's do something live. Now you're going to say, Rob, you're crazy. Your demo's just failed you completely. How on earth are you going to do something live? Well, you see, there's this module called DBHX, which is absolutely awesome for validating your SQL Server. And some bloke called SQL DBA with a beard just created this bug. Anybody can do that. So if you're using DBHX and DBA tools and you find an issue or you find something you want to have added, please come and write an issue. Just click on this new issue button, create a new issue. So what's this issue about? So steps to reproduce: run get dbcc check ogv, groan at the spelling mistakes in the descriptions. Oh dear, yes, look, there's plenty of there. Okay, that's not so good. So maybe there's another one. Here's another one. A feature request. Some bloke with SQL DBA with a beard, he says, can we have some release notes? Because somebody in our Slack channel mentioned that it would be really nice if we could have some release notes. So what we have here is our DBHX module. And in our DBHX module, we have some tests. And we test that the code that we're writing to do our checks, come down out of the way, then I can hit the cross, thank you. The code that we're writing to do our checks actually works as expected. we mock ourselves as SQL Server objects so that we can make sure that the information that we're getting back is what we expect. We mock to make sure that we can pass our tests, and we mock to make sure that we can fail our tests. We write tests for our functions as well, to make sure that they're doing everything that we expect them to do. We write tests for our help, so that any functions that we've got have got the right amount of help, so that anybody that's using these commands can make sure that they can help themselves. And even better, we also mock to make sure that our pester tests are all completely formatted correctly, so that the magic Power BI that Claudia Silva helped write will actually work properly. So we need to only have one unique tag. We've got to make sure we've got a description for all of our checks. We want to make sure that all of our config in the check is actually referenced in the results. We want to make sure that everything that we expect to happen, that our describe blocks have the right titles and tags, to make sure that we're using a double quote, that there's a plural for tags. So these are all things that are documenting the way that our code should be written. They're enforcing the guidelines and rules that we set up when we first started thinking about this module. And they're available for everybody to go and run before they pass in a new command and function for us. So if they write something and it doesn't follow our rules, and they run the pester test, it's going to fail. And the title of the test and the because that we put in is going to enable them to see why they need to change their code to be able to pass this test. So what I've done is I've created a new branch. We've got a branch called release notes. And if we have a look in our, let's get rid of some of this. If we have a look in the history of our branch, you can see that the last thing that we did was we added some release notes, and we added a function to get the release notes. So we can actually see here, before we had nothing, and then on the right we added a nice little function with some help. It's really simple to add help in VS Code. If you write a test function and you add a param, say 1, 2, Bill's beard. What have I done wrong there? Some closing. There we go. Good. And then you go up above there and you type 1 hash sign, 2 hash signs. Boom. Look at that. We have our description. Let me do it again. 1 hash sign, 2 hash sign. No, 1 hash sign, 2 hash sign, boom. We've got our description here. Then I can press tab. We're in the next one. It's already defined what our parameters are. So simple, so easy. One of my favorite little things to do. But we have our function, get DBCC release notes. We can do all that. So let's publish this change. We're going to push it up to the repository. We can have a look in VS Code by going to the outputs. And even though that says that, I bet it's come in. If I refresh this on the code, thank you very much. There we are, we've got a new branch. So let's compare, let's have a PR. So we'll open a PR. Now we're going to say, thank you very much. What have we done? I confirm there are no failing pester tests. What does this bring? Okay, adds get DBC release note function and release notes. Or create a pull request. So away comes our pull request, and as it happens, there's an administrator here. It comes through and it says, do you want to merge this? Yeah, let's merge this. happy to merge this into the development branch.
Rob,
And then what
I'm sorry.
happens?
We have a question. Do you mind if I interrupt you?
You can interrupt me all of the time. It's a perfect time to interrupt me
All
because
right.
we've got this going here.
Sure. So Alex says, do you know why DBA check module does not automatically load in a PowerShell session? Is this a config setting?
Why does the module not load? It should absolutely always load. If you have installed it from the gallery, then what it will do is it will come into C program files. It'll come into, yes, that doesn't exist anymore, thank you. It'll come into this location, and that should be your in your default module path, and therefore it should always be available.
Okay. I have another question from Mr. Walter. He says, what was the procedure for getting install module pester to install properly?
Right, so it's a pain. I mean, you can install it by using something called one of the flags on the install module called skip publisher check, but really I shouldn't be advising you to skip a check that is a security measure for keeping your environment safe. So what you'll do is you would go to this location, C program files, Windows PowerShell modules, and you would find the pester folder. And in there, you'll have a 3.4.0 or maybe a 3.3.5. And what you need to do is you need to right click, go to properties, go to security, go to advanced, and then you need to change this so that you're no longer the trusted installer, but somebody that is an administrator on this machine. And then you need to enable the inheritance and make sure that that passes all the way down through. And then right click and delete the folder. So then you will not have a pester folder there at all. Then you can just run install module pester, or you could run an update module pester. It's a little bit of a faff, but it's comes about because of the magic that was Microsoft deciding to bring this open source module into the operating system. Are there any more questions? Because now is a great time for questions.
Not at this time.
If there are not,
you've answered the questions that we've been asked. Yep.
Excellent. So, as it happens, what I have here is another branch that fixes the spellings. So I'm going to push that branch up as well. I'm not going to push that branch up as well. It's getting this SSL problem. Why did you do it for one and not for the other? You're awesome, VS Code. Okay, we won't have that. We'll go back and look at this. So what we have here, we had our dashboard, which was showing us that we were running some tests. You saw that the traffic lights were flashing as the test was running. You got some information about how many tests we've run, how long they took to run. And this is this page, maybe not so, but the build page here is available for anybody to see. You can go onto the front page of DBA checks, and you can click on one of these green buttons or on this link here, and that will take you to one of these build pages, and you can see all of this happening as it goes along. But you want to know what it is that we're doing. So what we're doing when we merge from development, we created ourselves a build. We had our trigger, we enabled continuous integration. We included our development branch, but we excluded our master branch. And then we did some tasks. Because we're using DBHX, we have to make sure that we install our required modules, otherwise DBHX won't load. And whilst that will work automatically from the PowerShell gallery, we're not testing the DBHX in the PowerShell gallery, we're testing this new version that we've just created. So we have to install all of these modules, and then we run our pester. And when we run our pester, we exclude our integration tests, we show nothing, and we create ourselves an output file to our build sources directory, test pester XML. That's so that this next task can pick it up. But we keep them held in a variable, and then we say, if the failed count is not equal to 0, throw me an error. Break my build. Tell me that I haven't passed all of my tests. So nothing would go forward from here on. And then it says publish the test results. Find me my test something XML file that's in my working directory and publish it. And publishing it means that on the front page of my build, what I get over here are my test results. And I can have a detailed report. And if I can move the thing that you can't see, which is the go to meeting thing, I can get to this button, and it says no test results found for the selected filters. Hang on a minute, we had 1,287 tests run. So let's have a look at our filters. Yeah, so we've got a filter of failed. So if we have a filter of passed, then we get all of our tests. So you can see we run nearly 1,300 tests on our module before we push it out to enable it. So we can see how these individual tests have all run. You can automatically create bugs from failing tests if you want to. You see how long it took to run each of those tests. And what we've ended up with is a piece of code that we as open source maintainers are happy has passed all of the tests that we expected. All of those rules that we set, all of the things that we expect. We know it's not going to break our Power BI. We know that everything is going to work as expected. We know that none of the previous functions that some other people have written have been broken. We've got that control and comfy, warm, fuzzy feeling that everything is going to work as we expect it to do. So now that that has passed and those tests have passed, I will have got an email saying, hey, those tests have passed. And what I'm going to do is not have that one. We're going to check out our development branch. And you can see here that we've got 3 commits that are waiting for us. Those are the ones that have come through. Oops, let's try that one. These are the ones that come through. Function to get our release notes. We've added the release notes and a merge from our release note branch. So what I'm going to do, I could click this button, or I could come to here and do a pull. I'll do a pull. And now I have brought that development branch with all those changes that I'm happy and comfortable with back down to my local machine. And I am in the wrong folder again. What are we in? DBHX. So if we do git status, we're on branch development. Our branch is up to date with origin development. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check out master. Yeah, we checked out master. And now I'm going to merge those new changes, if I spell the branch name correctly, into my master branch. So there we go. We've got our DBHX PSD1, our new function, and our release notes function. And now we've got those 3 things there. And what we're going to do just now is we're going to go and have a look at the PowerShell gallery. I'm going to look at the latest version, and we'll see that the latest version was released on Sunday, May the 27th, and it was 1.1.1.136. So now with this one, I'm now going to do a git push, which is another way of pushing my changes up to my remote repository. I'm going to push those up it's going to tell me off because I've got it set to our old location. And then if I go back to my dashboard, what I will see is that I have another build running. So here is my traffic lights going down. This is turned blue. So if we click on this, we can see that it's going to be going through. We're waiting for an agent at the moment. So whilst that is, there we go, starts its job. So now you can see what it's going to do. It's going to download our secure file. So remember, we said we had to, thank you, go away.
Oh. Rob, while you're doing that, I do have a question, and it's basically
excellent.
Where can I find more documentation of a DBA check module when there is a new version of this module? So when there's new releases, how is that documentation kept up to date, and where can we find it?
So if by the documentation you mean the release notes, up until this very moment in time, it was never kept up in place. We didn't have it. It wasn't something that we'd actually even considered. So what you will find is, hopefully, I will be able to demonstrate very shortly. So let's talk about what we're doing now. So we've pushed to master, and our master build is running. There we go. Our master build has in fact succeeded. And what that's going to do is going to go to our secure file and get our signing certificate, which we've placed up there. You see, Chrissy placed that up there. And then it's going to use that. Let's go and have a look. If we edit it. It's going to use that. First of all, it's going to update our PowerShell module version number, because you remember we said PowerShell Gallery will refuse our request to publish if it's got the same version number. So we're going to grab the version number and update it. Once we've done that, we're going to sign our certificate. We'll make sure that we keep our certificate and our password only in memory, because we're using our hosted agent. And we're going to grab all of our files and sign them with our new certificate if they don't have a signature on them. And if we can't do that, we're going to bomb out, fail our build, don't go further any forward. And then we're going to publish our artifact. So now our artifact is our new code ready to be released that has now been signed with the updated version, which we know has passed all of the tests that we ran in our unit tests previously. So we're completely comfortable that this is ready to go. We also backfill our development branch with our version update number, just because it's something that you can do. And you can do that by grabbing your, creating a PAT token, a personal access token in GitHub, and then using this code here. And then we release. And releasing, as you can see by this blue here, happens automatically. So our release is set to run when our master build has finished. So when we have an artifact here, we've clicked this one, continuous deployment trigger, and made it enabled. So as soon as a new artifact has been created by our master build with our signed code with the updated version that's passed all of our tests, it's going to pass down this pipeline. If you wish, you can add some pre-deployment conditions. You could ensure that somebody else approves it. But we want to keep these things moving. This is our open source. We want to make it as simple and easy as possible to do. And again, because we're using DBA checks and we need to have these required modules, then we have to install them first. And then we simply run this bit of code. And I'm going to put it here so I can make it bigger. And you can see it. So publish module, we grab our path, we use our system default working directory. That's the name that I gave the master build dbhx. And you need a NuGet API key. So your NuGet API key you get by signing into the gallery. And once you've signed in, you can then grab your API key and copy it. And then you can save it as a variable ready for your releases. So if we look in, have I got it open there? I've got it open there. So our variable, we've got our gallery API key ready to be used. And this is where we save it. Now, with a bit of luck, having done all of that chatting, we have our PowerShell gallery published. It succeeded. Well, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So let's have a look here. We go down there. We have a brand new module just released right now. 1.137 has been released. So what we can do to make sure, if we get module dbhx list available, I don't have it at all. Good grief. So we will install module dbhx. So go to the gallery, please, and grab me the latest version of dbhx. And that's going to go off to the gallery and grab it. So if there are any more questions coming through, now is a good time to do it. No, silence was what we heard. So what we can do is we could do this, and we could import module dbhx. Let's have that. So somebody was asking me, how can we check that we've got our release notes? And the way to do that, once this import module is finished, come on. One of you is going to come through. There we go. Is now we should be able to get dbc release. Just wait for it to import, to properly import. Come on. There we go. Awesome. I might have made a fatal mistake. I did too. So what I brilliantly forgot to do, so we may as well fix it now, is I've forgotten to load the actual function. Oh no, I haven't. It's actually there. It's there. There we go. So get release note. And one of those. And now we need to commit our change. So you need to load the function beard. Yes, please. So we'll go through this whole process again. That's going to push up and pull down the changes. It's going to kick off our build again, and then I will merge those changes in, and we will make sure that those are there correctly. So we're slightly run out of time. So continuous delivery of the PowerShell module to the gallery is easy. You've seen literally how simple it is once you have your VSTS set up to run through the process and make sure that everything works. You've seen how Plaster can template your modules and just help you to create that framework with all of the tests. Pester's unit testing framework as long as the thing you're relying on doesn't get removed an hour and a half before your demos, then you can use Pester to test all of your code, make sure it's doing exactly what you want. And that gives you the confidence and comfortableness to be able to release live open source module code whilst doing a presentation. It's cost nothing. VSTS is free. The only thing that would have cost money would have been the certificate for signing our code, which we were lucky enough to get in a different way. The advice is definitely have fun. Go and have a play. It's very simple to set up. Create some modules, share some of that amazing code that you can write, put it up in the gallery and get it ready. And don't feel, oh, I don't know if my code's good enough and ready. It's not as good as DBA Tools. Well, DBA Tools has got 100 and some odd contributors. It's got people who've been working on PowerShell for a long time. There's been a lot of love and care and hours of time put into it. But when it first went out to the gallery, it was just ready to go. It wasn't as rounded as it is now. It was just ready to go. So don't worry about making sure it's ready. Just make sure you get it up and out there, because you can iteratively improve it, as you have seen with DBHX, nice and quickly. So we're back with our questions. My favorite questions slide.
That's too funny. Nope, no more questions. So since we are over on time, I will ask you for a favor, as I have before, and that is, someone is lucky enough to win a $100 gift card courtesy of Redgate. I need you to choose, since I would have some bias. So
you would have some bias. So
I've got people in here that work for me.
Oh, have you now?
Mm-hmm.
So is this where I pick one of those people and they think that we're biased anyway?
You just give me a number. Let's see, there's 25 people left here. You can give me a number, a random number, or something.
I will give you the number 21. There you go. I have no idea who that is.
Sam Bryant. So Sam, if you can hear me, email me at devops@pass.org, and I will get you that gift card set up for you. So Sam Bryant, if you can hear me, make sure you get that sent in. So thank you so much, Rob. You did a wonderful job as always. And there was one comment that actually Michael Best, one of my employees, said was, even though he didn't pray to the demo gods, just the fact that he can make those changes and fixes on the fly just tells you how awesome he is. So, and I very much agreed.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, it was a shame it didn't quite all go as planned, but if you take a look at my Twitter, you will see, there we go, that's done. As you can see, I'm literally gonna do that funky right now and get that new version out, and with a little screenshot showing you how to do it.
All right.
So thank you very much, folks. Hope you have a good rest of the day or good evening if you're over here, and you can catch up with me soon. Feel free to throw me any questions you have.
All right. Sounds great, Rob. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.